Rutgers has something to brag about as well. Mark Rosario, the #6 shooting guard. If you want to see an impressive class coming up, go to ESPNU.com. Check out the rankings for 2009, and you'll see a school that's possibly the front runner to have that #1 recruiting class a year from now. But right now, it's all about the here and now. We have Fred Hill, the head coach of the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. And, Coach, we know one of the first things you try to do when arriving at Rutgers is try to sign St. Anthony's legendary coach, Bob Hurley. Weren't able to get him, but you got one of his best players, Mike Rosario. He says he wants to be the Prince of New Jersey. How good can Mike be, Coach?
Well, Mike is one of those guys, tough, hard-nosed, and I use this word very affectionately, gym rat out of Jersey City, and certainly has played for a legendary coach in Bob Hurley, and you know he's going to be well prepared to step in to college immediately and have an impact. And Mike's got a very, very bright future. He's a guy that wanted to stay home and kind of be the Pied Piper to lead great players from the metropolitan area to the State University here at Rutgers. And I can't tell you how excited we are to have Mike joining the family.
You obviously have a family tradition at Rutgers. Your father is a head baseball coach. Both of you guys doing your thing on campus. You mentioned Rosario wanting to lead the fight to put Rutgers on the map when it comes to basketball. You're a big New Jersey guy. Like Greg Schiano, who's doing his thing with the football program, how important and why are we seeing such a push from you and Schiano to get that pride going when it means to play in Jersey?
Well, I think, number one, this area has phenomenal high school AAU coaches, great talent. And you talk about all of New Jersey, you talk about the metropolitan area in New York, and you dabble down in Philadelphia, up and down what I call the Jersey Turnpike. And there's great players, there's great coaches, and those guys have been well taught. They've played against the best competition. They are ready to come in and make an impact in a league like the Big East. And so certainly you want to start your recruiting base at home. Keep those young guys home, keep their family and friends at all the games, and give them something. I was listening to Mark talk, you know, give them something to stay home for. A lot of guys like to be close to home if you've got a program that they can compete and play for Big East championships, national championships, and that's what we're trying to build here at Rutgers.
Of course, you were a long-time, very successful assistant coach, one of the most feared recruiters in the country, if I remember right, during my coaching days. And, of course, you've had to now hire some good assistant coaches. What do you look for in a successful recruiting assistant coach?
Well, I appreciate that, Mark. And you know what? Being a great recruiter is being part of a great staff. And certainly I was very fortunate as an assistant coach, being part of great staffs, working with people that had a passion for the game, that could communicate what your vision, what your goal, what your dreams would be at those particular schools and institutions. And that's what I was looking for when we put together a staff here. And Darren Savino, terrific coach on the floor, but a great passion dealing with people, came out of that St. Anthony program, played for Bob Hurley back in the day, and just has a great feel for identifying talent and then going out and explaining what our vision, what our goal, what our dreams are here at the State University. And, you know, Craig Carter, another one of my assistants, played here at Rutgers. And he's a guy that experienced it. Actually, Craig was one of the guys that played on the last NCAA tournament team here from Rutgers in 1991. And a guy that just bleeds scarlet, Jimmy Carr, the other guy on my staff that goes out and recruits, is a guy that's been here for 10 years. And he's been through some different regimes here, and certainly a guy I wanted to keep on board because he bleeds Rutgers, and another guy that just feels for the state and has great relationships with all the high school coaches and AAU coaches that are in this area.
Well, Coach, we obviously know at this point you bleed Rutgers basketball as well. But talk about going out of state, those chances that you go out of that area to try to recruit talent. How does that New Jersey pride translate to other people from other areas of the country that maybe aren't all caught up to what it means to play in that Jersey area?
Well, one of the nice things now that we've got going for us is certainly the success of the football program and the women's basketball program, the baseball program. You mentioned my dad. 3 programs that have had unbelievable success. And people know Rutgers University, one of the best academic institutions in the country, kind of known as a public ivy throughout the country. So when you combine the area, the great area that we're in, the metropolitan area, for a young man that's in the Midwest or out west or down south that wants an opportunity to come to a state university, play in the media market of the world, okay, sees the success of the other programs, we try to educate them to what we have to offer here at Rutgers. And then we really look for guys out of the area that have some type of connection to Rutgers, whether it be a family member that might have been an alum here, maybe an aunt or uncle that live in New Jersey. Obviously, New York, New Jersey, very transient area, a lot of people moving in and out. There's usually some type of tie to the Jersey area, and if we're lucky enough to find a great player, a great student that has a tie to this area, certainly we talk all about that Jersey pride and coming and helping us build something very special here.
Fred, when you were at Villanova, you turned New Jersey into the hotbed of recruiting for that Villanova program, now obviously at Rutgers. When you go into homes at Rutgers now, what's the perception difference of Rutgers versus what it was when you were at Villanova?
Well, the biggest thing is tradition and history, and certainly when we were at Villanova and with Jay, and Jay did a terrific job, and our staff down there had great ties like we're talking about. You know, to be able to talk about that tradition and history and be able to present that to those young men, we were able to kind of steal them down the Jersey Turnpike and cross over into Pennsylvania. Well, the first thing I did when I got the job is we called the National Guard. I've got a few good friends in the National Guard, and we put a couple tanks at the bridge, and no one's leaving Jersey anymore. We got a couple stationed up at the GW, and it's one way. It's only coming in, no one's going out. So we had to do a few things to rectify some of those problems. But really what we have here is we've got the same things, except we don't have quite the tradition and the history that some of the other great Big East programs have. And this is certainly, in my opinion, the best basketball conference in the country, and that's what we're fighting right now. But we talk to young men and their families about the opportunity to be that group of guys that really starts that tradition and history. I mean, you're going back at Rutgers, certainly, you know, great Final Four team back in '76, okay, but since then, there's been some hard times. Well, we're going to change all that, and how do you change it? You get great players, great students, and guys that have that passion, that desire to want to be those people to put Rutgers back on the map and change the perception and start that tradition and history that so many other schools have.
Coach, have to point it out, Vivian Stringer has more McDonald's All-Americans coming to campus than you do. How hard is it to keep pace with Coach Stringer?
Well, I'm not trying to keep pace with Coach Stringer. She's done a phenomenal job. I don't think I could do that. She's got 5 McDonald's All-Americans coming. Mike Rosario is the first one in school history. So we're very excited and very proud of the fact that a young man would want to come here and again, be the Pied Piper and start that. Coach has built a terrific program. Before her, Teresa Grentz had a great program here. That's the one thing that the women have that the men didn't have. They had tradition and history to sell. And when you look at that, I always point out, well, look at the young ladies that are coming here. They're coming here because it's a beautiful campus. They're coming here for the great academics, but they're coming here because of the tradition and history. So why not start that tradition and history? We've got a beautiful campus. We've got great academics. Now come here and be the group of young men. Be the guy that is going to do the same thing. So quite honestly, maybe when I'm done in 20 years here, for the next guy, it's going to be a lot easier.
Well, Coach, I don't think we need to tell you to keep up the good work because we're about to break down your class of 2009. Pretty much enough said with that one. Well, thank you so much for sharing time with us here on the U.
Well, Mark, thank you very much.
That's Coach Fred Hill doing his work at Rutgers. This is what he has coming in to the class of 2009. What do you know about this mix?
Well, these are verbals, obviously, but Gregory Eshenique is a guy that can really, really play. He played for the other Hurley, not Bobby Hurley, but obviously the other son, Danny Hurley. And this is a guy that is big, strong, tough. It's only a verbal right now, but he's a game changer for Rutgers. This is a guy that's been extremely well coached, very, very tough. He can go get you those dirty rebounds. He'd be a great fit for that blue-collar work ethic that Fred Hill brings to the table.
And Rosario leading the charge. He was influential in bringing that big man eventually to that campus in Piscataway, New Jersey. Coach Hill talked about how tough it is to put a program on the map. Just how tough is that to go into a program that doesn't have the most tradition and get it done?
Well, it's especially difficult in the Big East, where in the ESPN Top 25, there are 6, let me say again, 6 Big East teams that are ranked the top 25 recruiting classes. But Fred Hill, we talked about the job that he did at Villanova. Now he's working that same recruiting magic at Rutgers. I saw it a year ago when he came in the program, a couple years ago when he came in the program, injected new life and enthusiasm and a pride for being at Rutgers like Greg Schiano did with the basketball program. This guy is not a hired gun to come in and come to Rutgers and then move on. This guy is going to be there for life. His dad has coached baseball there for life. Fred Hill is committed to Rutgers, and all you got to do is give him a little bit more time. In 2 or 3 more years, this guy's going to be in the top 25 in the country because of the way he's recruiting.
And who knows, 1 year from this date, we may be leading off this show next year with Fred Hill off the top, talking about that #1 recruiting class in the nation for the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. Still a year, and he's got to get those signatures to get that done.